First, I saw some of your back and forth with FBI Director Wray. What is his current assessment of Russia's efforts to undermine our election in 2020?
That they never left. Good afternoon, Nicole. That they are emboldened by what they were able to accomplish in 2016. That they tried to attack us in 2018, and that they're going to do the same this upcoming election. But they may have some others on the playing field helping the president. It looks like he has asked China and Ukraine to help him as well. So I believe the FBI will do all they can to stop him, and the CIA and all of our intelligence agency patriots. But the problem is, if the person at the top is not making it a priority, if he's not putting the whole of government, every resource we have behind it, they are limited in what they can do. And no one can listen to Donald Trump and the clips that you just played and believe that he's someone who is serious about keeping foreigners on the sidelines when we go to the ballot box to vote this November.
Yeah, and interestingly, he's been given opportunities to take both those comments back. He's never seized any of them. Congressman Schiff was on with my colleague Rachel Maddow last night and had this to say about one of the committees on which you serve with him approaching former National Security Advisor John Bolton's counsel. Let's watch him talk about it. Oh, we don't have it. What he said was to Rachel was, I can tell you that after the Senate voted not to hear witnesses, after they voted to be the first impeachment trial in history without witnesses, we did approach John Bolton's counsel, asked if Mr. Bolton would be willing to submit an affidavit under oath describing what he observed in terms of the president's Ukraine misconduct, and he refused. Are you still interested in talking to John Bolton before his book comes out?
I'll leave that to Chairman Schiff. I believe that if he has information about other corrupt schemes that the president is involved in, that we should hear from him. And the reason we should believe that that's probably the case is in 2016, the president asked the Russians to help him. In 2020, we know he at least asked the Ukrainians. And I look at this, Nicole, as a 10-story condominium building. We were able to unlock one floor of that building. We turned on the lights. We saw rats everywhere in the Ukraine room. What's in the Russia room? What's in the Turkey room? What's in the Saudi Arabia room? We should know. We have reason to look. And if John Bolton has information, I'm sure that Speaker Pelosi will authorize us to use subpoena power to pursue that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.